You owe the family your help, my brother texted, plus a $68,000 bill for his home Reno. Time you stepped up like Dad did. I replied, I'm not Dad. He sent a voice note, then don't come to Thanksgiving. I said nothing. On Thanksgiving, he posted outside the house, thankful for what matters most. I commented, that deck you're on? I own it. And I already changed the lock. I never thought a text message could redefine family. But when my brother demanded $68,000 for the family and then disinvited me from Thanksgiving, I knew the quiet war I'd always tried to avoid had finally begun. I'm Ethan, 33, and generally, I like my life low drama. Give me a calm morning, some sawdust from my woodworking hobby, and a black coffee with the window cracked. My home, about an hour outside the city, is modest but mine. Or so I thought. Apparently, in my family, mine is a fluid concept. Growing up, I was the observant one. My older brother, Kevin, was the golden child. Loud, charming, captain of everything. The kind of guy who'd wreck your car and make you feel bad for asking about it. Our parents adored him. Mom, Sarah, would glow when you walked in. Dad, Robert, a stern man who valued hard work, would puff up with pride hearing Kevin's exaggerated stories. I was the one clearing plates, staying out of the spotlight. Not a bad childhood, just one where I learned peace came from not rocking the boat. I studied, got a scholarship, and left, never really looking back. Kevin, meanwhile, stayed home. He dabbled in real estate, flipping houses, or rather, conning people into projects, promising big returns, then crying bad luck when things fell apart. Yet, our parents always bailed him out. He's trying, Sarah would say. He just has a different path, Robert would add, overlooking the dozen investor wallets Kevin's path had run through. After Robert passed away 3 years ago, I hoped things might change. Maybe without Dad's blind loyalty, the scales would balance. But grief twists families. Sarah clung harder to defending Kevin. And with Robert gone, Kevin seemed to think he'd inherited the house, the authority, the unspoken family throne. I didn't argue. I sent birthday flowers, showed up for holidays, and lived my own life. Until last fall. It started with a text. 3 lines, screaming entitlement. You owe it to the family to help. House needs renovating. $68,000. Robert would have stepped up. Can you help or chip in? You owe it. $68,000. Like I was a dormant ATM, finally due for overdue fees. You owe it to the family. As if I hadn't been paying my own way since 19. As if I hadn't covered Sarah's hospital bills when she fractured her hip, quietly, without asking anyone. As if Kevin was the one working 60-hour weeks while I scrimped and saved, giving up vacations for 5 years to buy my home. I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering. Finally, I typed, I'm not Robert. Simple. Clear. Not rude, just a boundary. An hour later, instead of text, a voice note. Kevin's voice, cocky, slightly slurred. Don't bother showing up for Thanksgiving. I listened to it again, that smug tone, that casual threat. It wasn't just the words. It was the assumption that my presence was something I should beg for, that the holiday wasn't about family but his control over who counted. If I didn't cough up nearly 70 grand, I was an outsider. And what truly drove it home? Silence. Nobody else texted. Not Sarah. Not Olivia, our peacemaker cousin. Not even Uncle Ray. As if Kevin spoke for everyone. I didn't respond. I didn't argue. I just stayed quiet. Thanksgiving morning, I cooked a small meal for one. Turkey breast, mashed potatoes, green beans. A pie I didn't slice until the next day. A familiar ache for old holidays, the noise, the clatter, cousins playing cards. But a bigger part of me felt something else. Not sadness, not exactly anger. Clarity. That clarity hit full force around 4 p.m. I opened my phone. Kevin's latest post, a glossy shot of him and Sarah in front of his newly renovated house. He held a wine glass, she was mid-laugh. Caption, grateful for what matters most. I should have closed the app. But my eyes snagged on something. The deck. That deck. The one Robert and I built 12 years ago, on one of the only weekends Kevin showed up to help, leaving halfway through for a thing. The one I quietly purchased from Robert before he passed, when the property line shifted, and it crossed into my adjacent land. Kevin wanted to bulldoze it last year for a hot tub plan. I stopped him with paperwork. He was furious. And now he was posing on it, toasting from it. The idea started forming. A whisper, then growing. I clicked the comments section. Typed, that deck you're standing on, I own it. And the lock's already changed. Then I closed the app, took a long sip of wine, and waited. Everything began to unravel. I expected a snarky reply, maybe Kevin deleting it. But he didn't take embarrassment lightly, especially not publicly, and definitely not from me. The first response came 5 minutes later, real classy, Ethan. This is why no one wants you around. Then laughing emojis from Kevin's old buddies. I didn't reply. My phone buzzed again, this time the family core group chat. Kevin had named it years ago. Sarah, me, Kevin, Olivia, and Daniel. Kevin, can we all just take a moment to appreciate how Ethan decided to ruin a perfectly nice family post with his bitterness? Olivia, cautious, I think it just caught people off guard, that's all, Kevin. Kevin, no one asked him to pay anything. I asked if he wanted to contribute like Robert used to. Guess that was too much. I stared at the screen. That rewrite of history, the sly shift from you owe it to do you want to. Classic Kevin. I still didn't respond. I just felt tired. Tired of the script, Kevin makes a mess, everyone walks on eggshells, I'm told to be the bigger person, swallowing insults to keep the peace. But that peace was starting to feel like rot. 2 days after Thanksgiving, Sarah called. I almost didn't answer, hoping she'd seen through Kevin's nonsense. Nope. She started soft, friendly, hi, sweetheart. Hope you had a nice little Thanksgiving. I ignored the jab, said it was quiet. Then she got to it. Kevin told me about your comment. He's really hurt, Ethan. You embarrassed him. I didn't know he was capable of embarrassment, I said flatly. She sighed, like I was difficult. This isn't like you. You've always been the reasonable one, the mature one. There it was. The same language she'd always used to nudge me back into compliance. The one who could take the hits and smile. I just think maybe you could apologize, she continued. You know how Kevin gets. He takes things personally. And you do own the deck, but do we really need to make things so complicated? I couldn't help it. I laughed. A short, disbelieving exhale. Sarah, he sent me a $68,000 invoice and told me I owe it to the family. Then he told me not to show up for Thanksgiving. But I'm the one making things complicated? She went quiet. I know your father would have helped. Something snapped. My voice dropped, steadier. Yeah. Well, Robert also wouldn't have sent an invoice. He wouldn't have blackmailed me with Thanksgiving. And he wouldn't have used the phrase owe it to the family like it was a mafia movie, so don't bring him into this. Her voice sharpened. That's uncalled for. No, what's uncalled for is pretending Kevin didn't demand money and throw a tantrum when he didn't get it. What's uncalled for is you calling me to clean it up. Another long silence. Then, in a smaller voice, she said, you know what? Maybe it's better if we all take some space. She hung up. I sat there, the dial tone buzzing. That was new. I expected guilt, maybe tears. But space? That felt deliberate. The next week, silence. No texts, no calls. I thought things were cooling. Then the envelope arrived. No return address, just my name in Kevin's unmistakably sloppy handwriting. Inside, a printout of a revised invoice, now formatted like a professional contract. At the top, shared family home renovation contribution agreement. Below that, suggested contributions, $16,800 for me, $5,000 for Olivia, $2,000 for Daniel. Nothing for Kevin, of course, he was managing the project. At the bottom, a line for my signature. I laughed out loud. It wasn't disbelief anymore. It was surreal, like a bad parody of a family drama, except this was my life. That same day, a voicemail from Olivia. Hey, I just wanted to say I got one of those letters, too. I'm guessing you did. This is getting weird. Call me. I did. We talked for an hour. Olivia always saw things clearly, even if she didn't always say it. This time, she was angry. Not just at Kevin, but at Sarah backing him. Daniel had called her, asking if he was legally obligated to pay. He's not, obviously, Olivia said. Then she dropped a bombshell that made my stomach churn. Kevin told me he's planning to take out a new loan against the house. He's expecting family contributions to secure it. I think he's trying to use these signed letters as proof of income. I blinked. Wait, the house is in his name now? She hesitated. No. Well, part of it is. He convinced Sarah to co-sign on a deed transfer after Robert passed. Said it would help with taxes or something. She signed without telling anyone. I only found out because he accidentally sent me the wrong attachment last month. The floor dropped out. Kevin was manipulative, but this was new territory. Legal territory. Worse, he was dragging Sarah into it, probably without her realizing what she was signing. Olivia added, I think he's in deeper debt than he's letting on. The renovations aren't just cosmetic. He's trying to flip it. He's planning to sell Sarah's house. She doesn't know. At least I hope she doesn't. That night, I barely slept. My mind raced, not just with anger, but with memories of the deck. Robert teaching me to use a drill. Sarah making lemonade. Kevin showing up late and leaving early, yet still bragging he built it himself. And now he wanted to sell it. Sell the memories. Sell the whole damn story and walk away richer while everyone else paid the bill. The next morning, I woke early, made coffee, and pulled out the old file folder where I kept Robert's land documents. The deck, the land easement, the clause protecting my ownership of the outer lot. I started drafting something. Not just a letter. Something bigger. I wasn't going to shout or argue in the group chat. I was going to make it very clear that this family narrative Kevin had been scripting was about to hit a major rewrite. And that was before I found out what he did with Sarah's signature the week before. It took a week of silence for the next storm to hit. When it did, it came hard, and from someone I hadn't expected to turn on me. Monday morning. I was deep into a custom shelving unit for a friend's photography studio. Wood shavings everywhere, my hands dusty. I was finally feeling clear-headed, focused, away from the toxic drama. I hadn't checked my phone in hours. When I did, 6 missed calls from Sarah, 2 from Kevin, 1 unknown number. Sarah's voicemail was sharp, unusually cold. I can't believe you're trying to sabotage your own family's financial future. Kevin showed me the paperwork you sent him. He told me you threatened to take back part of the property, the part he's renovating. I raised you better than this, Ethan. I stood frozen, phone in one hand, chisel in the other. Then the second voicemail. Kevin again. Smug, triumphant. Guess Sarah finally knows what kind of snake you are, huh? You want to play legal games? Fine. But just know when she signs the quitclaim deed next week, you're out for good. My heart sank. Quitclaim deed. It clicked. Kevin had convinced Sarah to sign over her share of the house. No lawyers, no protections, just a signature, and it would be legally binding. I wouldn't have believed she'd do it, but then again, she had accused me of sabotaging the family. I immediately called her back. No answer. I texted, please don't sign anything. Can we talk first? No reply. I called Olivia. She picked up instantly. Did you hear about the deed? I asked. She sounded breathless. Yeah. I'm driving to Sarah's now. I don't think she gets it, Ethan. He told her it was just a formality, that it'll help him refinance the renovation loan. She thinks she's just getting out of his way. I clenched my jaw. He's not refinancing. He's selling. I know, Olivia whispered. But he's got her thinking you're out to ruin everything. That you're bitter. That you're weaponizing Robert's land easement. I sat on the edge of the workbench, heart pounding. I wasn't even trying to do anything. I just told him the truth, that I own the deck and I'm not signing that stupid agreement. Olivia sighed. He's trying to isolate you. He's good at it. He was. And for the first time in years, I felt truly, painfully alone. That week was hell. I couldn't focus. Every email notification gave me anxiety. I kept imagining Kevin parading through the house, telling contractors to gut the kitchen, rip up floors, install marble countertops on land he didn't fully own. I pictured him tossing old family photos like junk. I tried one more time with Sarah. Drove to her place, flowers in hand, calm voice ready. She opened the door, arms crossed. We don't need to do this right now, Ethan. I kept my tone soft. I just want to talk. She let me in, but barely looked at me. I sat at the dining table, the same one where Robert used to read the paper every Sunday, and tried to explain. He's not keeping the house, Sarah. He's flipping it. He's planning to use your signature to leverage ownership. And he told me you'd say that, she interrupted. That you'd twist everything. I blinked. Twist? Sarah, I'm showing you documents. I'm not twisting anything. Her voice hardened. Kevin's not perfect, but he's trying. He's been here. He's been involved. You haven't. That hit harder than expected. I stood up, fighting back the sting. You're right. I haven't been here. I've been working quietly, paying for things without being asked, building a life without demanding applause. But maybe that's why no one ever noticed. She didn't respond, just looked out the window. I left the flowers on the table and walked out. That was the lowest I'd felt in a long time. Worse than when Robert passed. Worse than when I first found out Kevin was scheming again. It wasn't just betrayal. It was being erased. Like everything I'd done quietly, patiently, responsibly, all of it was invisible. Suddenly, Kevin's fantasy version of me was the truth everyone wanted to believe. That night, I shut off my phone, didn't eat, didn't sleep, just sat in the dark, wondering how I'd become the villain in my own family. But something shifted the next morning. I woke, showered, and pulled open the drawer where I kept all Robert's old documents. Letters, receipts, maps, notes in his blocky, steady handwriting. One caught my eye. A short note on yellowing paper, folded in half, to Ethan, for when I'm not around to explain it myself. My hands trembled as I unfolded it. Written years ago, short and to the point, I gave you the outer parcel and deck rights for a reason. Not just because you helped build it, but because I know you won't let it be exploited. I trust you to protect what matters. Not just the land, but the memory. That was it. That's all it took. I stared at the note for a long time, then grabbed my laptop. I spent the next 2 days digging, researching quietly, carefully. I called a property attorney I'd worked with years ago, explained everything, sent over the land easement and deck ownership paperwork. He called back the next morning. Legally, he can't do anything to that section of land without your written consent. If he tries to include it in a sale, that's misrepresentation. He'd be liable. What if he already filed permits? I asked. Then we flag it, challenge it, force a halt. I exhaled slowly. And the house deed? If she signs that quitclaim, she's transferring her ownership rights. He can do what he wants after that. But depending on how the deed is structured, we might be able to contest the valuation, especially if there's evidence she was misled. I thanked him and hung up. Then I got to work. I drafted a formal cease and desist letter, not from me, but through the attorney. It would notify Kevin and any future buyer that the deck and surrounding land were separate, not to be included in any title or renovation scope. I attached Robert's easement, the original parcel agreement, and the local zoning law. Then I had the letter notarized, mailed, and emailed to Kevin, the county property office, and the contractor he was working with, whose email I got from Olivia, who finally agreed to step out of the shadows. The contractor called me directly the next day. "Hey, I just wanted to double-check, your name is on this easement?" "Yes." "And you're not authorizing the deck to be altered, removed, or repurposed in any way?" "Nope." Long pause. Okay, that changes things. By the end of the week, Kevin's contractor had backed out quietly. No social media post, no grand announcement, just a one-line email saying they were withdrawing due to unforeseen legal complications. And then the permit office contacted Kevin. Apparently, someone, me, had submitted a formal inquiry about a permit being issued on land that wasn't legally part of the main parcel. That triggered a review, a slow one. Bureaucracy at its finest. Suddenly, Kevin's big renovation was dead in the water. But the fall wasn't over. A few days later, Olivia sent me a screenshot. A Craigslist listing. No photo, just a vague description: charming family home, recently updated, great neighborhood, perfect for first-time buyers. Asking price, laughably high. Seller, Kevin J., King Family Real Estate Group LLC. I scrolled down and saw something else. A lined, spacious backyard deck, perfect for hosting. I laughed, not in a funny way. Kevin was still trying to sell my property. And now it was time to rise. It's funny how once you stop asking for a seat at the table, you realize how much power you actually have when you start building your own. By the time I saw the Craigslist listing, I wasn't even surprised. Kevin had a pattern: inflate, spin, deny, bail. But this time, I wasn't scrambling for peace. I wasn't even mad. I was calculating, focused, calmer than I'd been in weeks. The listing proved Kevin was deeper in than anyone realized. He was trying to offload the house, probably to get ahead of whatever debt storm was brewing. And he still thought I'd stay quiet. He didn't know I'd lawyered up. The contractor dropping out had stalled renovations. The permit freeze made selling tricky, but it wasn't enough. Kevin was slippery. He could still spin it, find some desperate buyer. Especially if the listing didn't mention the pending legal disputes. So, I had to be smarter. I had to set a trap he'd walk into willingly. And I knew exactly where to start. Craigslist was too vague. But Kevin didn't rely on one method. He was probably fishing across platforms. I started looking: Facebook Marketplace, Zillow, local FSBO groups. After 2 hours, I found it. Same house, same description, this time with photos, freshly painted siding, the backyard angled just right to crop out the deck, blurry photos of a half-gutted interior. And under agent contact, Kevin J., King Family Real Estate Group LLC. A name he'd made up. No license, no real group, just him and an email address I recognized from when he borrowed my Netflix login 3 years ago. Perfect. I created a throwaway email using a generic name and wrote, "Hi, I'm interested in the property you've listed. Saw it on Facebook. Looks great. Would love to schedule a walkthrough and learn more about the renovations." He replied within 10 minutes. Typical Kevin. "Hey, thanks for the message. House is still available. Schedule's open this weekend if you want a tour. It's a hot listing though, serious buyers only. I've had a lot of interest." I responded as Sam, an out-of-town investor looking for a long-term rental. Kevin loved investors. Investors meant fast money, no fuss, no inspections, exactly the kind of target he could overpromise to and hope they didn't dig too deep. We scheduled a walkthrough for Saturday at 11 a.m. Now I needed someone to play Sam. I thought about hiring, but that came with risks. Instead, I called in a favor from someone who owed me, Mark Jensen. Mark was a former coworker in property compliance. We'd worked on a nightmare contract years ago, and I'd covered for him when a client tried to blame him for a blown deadline. He never forgot. "Let me get this straight," Mark said after I laid it all out. "You want me to pretend to be a buyer, walk through your brother's half-renovated house, and ask a bunch of annoying legal questions? Basically," I said, casually, "you're just a smart investor." He laughed. "Ethan, this is petty. I love it. I'm in." We rehearsed a little. I sent Mark the deck documents, the zoning maps, even printed him a fake buyer worksheet. All he had to do was play the part, ask specific questions, push Kevin to admit on record that he owned the deck, or worse, that the renovations included property he didn't have rights to. Saturday morning, I parked 2 blocks away. Mark had a mic in his shirt collar. I had my laptop open in my car, audio streaming live to my headphones. At 11:03 a.m., Mark knocked. Kevin answered with his usual fake charm. "Hey, you must be Sam. Come on in, man. Let me show you around." The first few minutes were small talk. Kevin bragging about appliances, none of which were installed yet. Then the tour shifted to the backyard. "Mark, nice deck. Is that included in the parcel?" Kevin, "Yep. Fully part of the property. Just needs a little staining." Mark, I wasn't sure. County records show a separate parcel line." Kevin paused. "Oh, yeah. Well, that's just a technicality. My family owns the land. It's all in the family. No one's going to fight over it." Mark, "Got it. So, if I included the deck in a financing appraisal, that's fine?" Kevin, with a hint of hesitation, "Yeah, totally. I mean, it's part of the living space, you know." Boom. A lie on record. Misrepresenting property ownership to a prospective buyer. Enough for a formal complaint to the state licensing board. Even if he wasn't licensed, posing as one while giving false information was serious. Mark wrapped up with a few more probing questions, thanked Kevin, and left. I submitted the audio file to my attorney that afternoon. He grinned when he heard it. "Want to make things really fun?" he asked. "Always. We send this to the listing platforms with a legal notice of misrepresentation. They'll yank the listing. Then we file a complaint with the zoning office for attempted inclusion of protected land in a sale. After that, we contact the buyer's agent boards, even if he's not licensed. There's enough here to rattle him." I nodded. "And the deed, Sarah's part?" "We're getting there. But this pressure will make him sloppy. That's what we want. He was right. By Tuesday, the listing disappeared from both Facebook and Zillow. A small win, but enough to rattle Kevin. At 6:21 p.m., he called me. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail, his voice tense. I don't know what you think you're doing, but this is my house. You've made your point. Just stop before things get worse. I sent the voicemail to the attorney. Then I made my next move. Olivia had been on the fence about getting involved directly. She hated conflict. But seeing how deep Kevin was digging, she agreed to help. Quietly, she went to visit Sarah again, this time with paperwork. She didn't argue. She didn't accuse. She just explained. Explained that Kevin had lied about refinancing. Explained that he listed the home for sale before the deed was transferred. Explained that if she signed over her share, Kevin could sell the house out from under her. It wasn't easy. Sarah still saw the world through Kevin-colored glasses, but by the end of the conversation, she agreed to pause the transfer. Olivia told her she needed more time to understand the legal side. That pause was all I needed. Because what Kevin didn't know was that I had already filed a notice of intent to enforce easement rights with the county office. Which meant if he tried to relist the property again without removing the deck and redrawing the boundary lines, it would be flagged instantly. He was boxed in. Couldn't finish renovations, couldn't list, couldn't refinance, couldn't sell. And most importantly, he couldn't guilt-trip Sarah into signing away her rights anymore, because now she had a lawyer, a good one, courtesy of Olivia and me. Kevin tried once more, an email. Rambling, half threats, half desperate pleas. Accused me of ruining the family. Said Robert would be ashamed. Said I was tearing everything apart for some stupid patio. I didn't reply. This wasn't about a patio. It was about principle. And now the trap was set. He had one card left to play, and I wanted him to play it. Because the next move, that was mine. Kevin didn't go quiet. He never does. But for the first time in his life, he was cornered, and it showed. A week after the listings came down and his contractor cut ties, I got another message. This one was civil, almost rehearsed, let's talk for real this time. No games, just two brothers figuring this out. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to figure out. He just didn't know it yet. Behind the scenes, everything was already in motion. The notice of easement enforcement had forced the permit office to halt all pending applications involving the deck and adjacent land. Even if Kevin had tried to bribe his way through, the zoning officer was meticulous. More importantly, my attorney had filed a lease pendens, a formal notice of a legal dispute involving the property, which effectively poisoned any attempt to sell it. That legal filing showed up on every property title search. No bank would underwrite a mortgage. No appraiser would touch it. Even if Kevin found a miracle buyer, no title company would approve a clean sale. The house was radioactive. But that wasn't the revenge. That was the setup. The real strike came when Kevin made his final desperate move. My lawyer had predicted it. Kevin, being Kevin, would try to offload the house as is in a private, under-the-table sale. No permits, no title insurance, just a quick cash deal to someone willing to gamble. And we were right. Olivia called me in a panic one afternoon. He posted it again, on OfferUp this time. Different language. Says it's an off-market opportunity for investors with vision. Says the deck's being gifted with the property. I checked the listing. Sure enough, same house, new phrasing, no mention of the legal flag, just bold promises and blurry pictures. That was all I needed. We called the buyer. Well, Mark Jensen called them. Remember Mark? My friend from compliance who played the fake investor? He called the listed number, pretending to be a fellow investor curious about the deal, said he'd heard about the property and wanted to confirm the parcel boundaries. The buyer, some guy named Mike from out of town, admitted he hadn't done a title search yet, but had already given Kevin a small deposit. Mark pushed just enough. "You sure that deck comes with the house? Because county records show a separate parcel." Mike got nervous. "He told me it's all part of the sale." Mark replied, "Might want to double-check that. There's a lease pendens on the property." "You didn't see that?" Silence. Then Mark, with expert timing, sent him the public document, my filing, and the easement paperwork. And just like that, Mike ghosted Kevin. No sale, no cash, no way forward. 2 days later, I got another call from Sarah. This time, her voice wasn't sharp. It was quiet. "Ethan, I think I made a mistake. I didn't say anything. I just let her talk. He told me you were trying to take the house, that you hated him, that you were bitter and wanted to ruin the family name. And I believed him." I swallowed hard. "And now?" She exhaled. "Now I see a son who protected his father's legacy, who didn't ask for anything, who just wanted fairness." We talked for a long time that night. About Robert, about how Kevin twisted things, about how people sometimes cling to one version of a person for so long they stop seeing the truth. She admitted she hadn't read a single document Kevin gave her. Just signed what he said was safe. She cried, apologized for doubting me, for not asking more questions, for letting him spin the story. I didn't rub it in. That wasn't the point. The point was she saw it now. And that meant Kevin's final support pillar had just crumbled. The next day, she called her own attorney, one of Olivia's contacts, and initiated a reversal of the quitclaim process. Since the transfer hadn't been fully recorded due to a clerical delay, the revocation was filed just in time. Kevin lost access to her share of the property. He was livid. I know because he emailed everyone. A long, dramatic manifesto about betrayal and blood and legacy. He accused me of weaponizing Robert's death. Accused Olivia of being a traitor. Accused Sarah of being senile. He even threatened to sue me for defamation. That last one made my lawyer laugh out loud. "Let him," he said. "All it'll do is get him deeper in the mud." But I wasn't done. There was still one piece left. The deck. The original build wasn't just a patch of wood behind a house. It was a memory. One of the only weekends Robert, Kevin, and I had spent working side by side. But Kevin had tried to demolish it, sell it, claim it, lie about it. So, I reclaimed it. Literally. I paid a local contractor to install a fence around the deck, just tall enough to make a point. On the gate, I mounted a small plaque, "Private property, access restricted." The fence didn't block the rest of the yard. Didn't encroach on Kevin's section. But it sent a message. It said, "This is mine, and you don't get to use it anymore." Neighbors noticed. One commented, "Looks like the deck's under new management." I just smiled. A month later, Kevin's renovation dream was dead. The house sat half-gutted. No buyers, no money, no permits, no contractor, no mother on his side, no sister to vouch for him. And the bank, turns out Kevin had taken out a short-term personal loan for the initial work, probably planning to repay it after the sale. But with the house unsellable and the equity split frozen, he defaulted. They put a lien on the house. Within 3 months, the property was listed again, this time by the bank for foreclosure. That was the final blow. Not because he lost the house, but because he lost the story. Kevin always needed the story. That he was the leader, the provider, the one carrying Robert's legacy forward. But in the end, all he carried was debt and empty promises. I drove by once after the bank repossessed it. The place looked haunted. Boarded windows, overgrown lawn, the deck still standing untouched, just behind the fence. A week later, the fence came down. Not because I gave up, but because I didn't need it anymore. The point had been made. The legacy had been protected. And the memory? It was safe where it always belonged, with me. I left a final note on the kitchen counter the day they started auctioning off the interior fixtures. Just a simple one: you always said I never stepped up. Turns out I did. You just never noticed. Kevin didn't attend the auction. Sarah came by the following weekend. We sat on the deck, coffee in hand, watching the sunset behind the trees, the same way we used to with Robert. She was quieter now, humbler. But there was a peace in her eyes I hadn't seen in years. "I'm proud of you," she said. I didn't need to hear it, but it still meant everything. That night, I stood alone on the deck and looked out across the yard, now stripped of illusions and schemes. Just quiet grass, fading light, and the echo of a battle I hadn't wanted but refused to lose. Because sometimes standing your ground doesn't look like shouting or slamming doors. Sometimes it looks like a fence. Sometimes it looks like silence. And sometimes it looks like winning. He tried to inherit the legacy, but I built it, board by board. And I never let go. What would you have done?